Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I am playing with the new Lotus collection from Sonia G. These were sent to me in PR from Beautylish and Sonia, and I just want to say quickly to Lily from Beautylish, thank you so much for the message on the box. It was so incredibly kind of you, you guys. She left me the nicest comment, just like written on the box. I opened it up and you guys know I teared up. You guys know I did. But it was really, really sweet. So I just want to say thank you for that. Now on to the brushes. I know that's why you guys clicked on the video clearly. So let's talk about these beauties. I was really surprised to see another set so close to the Fusion series. So this was an absolute surprise. A very happy surprise, might I add. But the Fusion set is permanent and these are limited edition. They're going to be launched on July 14th at 10 a.m. PT, retailing for $215 for the entire set. No, these are not going to be sold as individuals because, again, they are limited edition. There is hope and a possibility, fingers crossed, that the Fusion set will be restocked. So keep your fingers crossed for that and keep a lookout if you missed the original launch. Hopefully the Fusion set will make a comeback with the Lotus launch. In this collection we have 6 brushes, 3 for the eyes, 3 for the face, and 3 of them are new and 3 of them we have previously seen before. They're all made out of Seikaho goat hair except for one that has a mixture like the Fusion set. It's the base brush. This one you can use with liquids and powders. I used it today, of course, to put on my base. So you will see that. But then all of these are Seikaho goat. The 3 that are new to the Sonia G line, we have the detail brush, which to me reminds me of the mini cheek, but it has like this little angle to it, and I will do comparisons later on. The soft definer, this is truly unique to my collection. I had a hard time even trying to find something to compare it to. And then of course the base brush. And then the 3 that you have seen before, we have the builder right here, the cheek, and the worker. Looking at the brush handles, you can see this beautiful ombre effect, and it is so pretty in pictures, but then you see it in your hands and there's these tiny, teeny tiny like micro glitters in there that kind of catch the light. It's stunning, and it's very finely detailed, this ombre. It's not like a solid color change. It is definitely like you see little speckles throughout the entire brush. It's very, very detailed. Very detailed. I love what she has done with this, and it's supposed to mimic the effect that you see on the flower petals, and it definitely does. I'm going to go through each of the brushes, show you guys the comparisons as well as how I use them today. So let's go ahead, dive in, and start off with the base brush. This is the one that I used to apply my base, and it was so nice. The bristles, I'm telling you, this mixture is the perfect mixture for applying things on the face because it's so soft. It does not feel like aggressive or itchy, scratchy, or anything like that on the skin. It's really nice. It's a nice experience, just like I said with the Fusion series, which I have been using every single day. Every day. And I like that I can get this brush so close right here on my nose, and it fits in like all the little nooks and crannies. I can get, oh, I gotta put stuff on my ears. I have short hair, so I gotta get back here. It just makes it so much easier. I even take foundation a lot of times all the way back here on my neck, because when you have really short hair, you see everything. So you want everything to be really seamless. And this just, it makes it easy. You can swipe and buff things out. You can tap and get more coverage. I love the shape of this. I am definitely going to be using this also for contouring or really like bronzing up the face. Getting right here and adding in that little bit of like the shade and Illuminate from Tom Ford. And then if I wanted to get the creams right into my hairline, like look, it just fits so perfectly. And it has the perfect density and flexibility. This one is a little bit more dense than what you're going to find in the Fusion series, but still, again, very pleasurable to use. Now the brushes that I have to compare, There's really nothing like this in the Sonia G line, not that I have, at least, not that I have. The closest things are not meant to put on your face, so I just put these in the picture so that you guys could see. In this comparison, I have the Sculpt 4, the Worker Fan, and then one from Scott Barnes, the number 65. The number 65 I would say is the closest thing in my collection, just because this is synthetic. I can use it to put on foundation. However, in comparison to the Sonia G brush, this one is much more pinched. This one is definitely softer, and this one has a little bit more flexibility to it, but this one's just so soft. That's the closest thing that I have to an actual brush that I could use to put on foundation. These other two are beautiful fan brushes. You can put on like powder foundation with this guy right here, the Sculpt 4. This one has a little bit more of an angle to it. If you can see, it's shorter on this side, longer over here. And this one, great for bronzer, highlight if you want, but it's not really, the intended purposes are not the same. After I did my foundation, I went ahead, did my concealer, powder, and bronzer. I had bronzer on my eyes, and then I added on some Pat McGrath. But the next brush that I used is the cheek brush. This one is a part of the permanent collection, but it's been redesigned to fit in this collection. And I did just kind of take all of these after I used them, and I used my Sonia G towel and I cleaned them off. I used this one to apply my blush in Desert Orchid from Pat McGrath. It's kind of fitting, the names, the flowers. And it applied beautifully. I'm very familiar with this brush. I like to use this to kind of just press the blush into the skin, and then I will use buffing motions just to make sure that everything is nice and seamless. And now I'm going to show you the comparisons. In this picture, I have it compared to the Classic Cheek from the Sky series, the Cheek Pro, the Soft Cheek, and the Designer Pro. My Classic Cheek is a little bit more fluffy because I've gotten some use out of it. And this one will definitely fluff up a little bit as well. Now these others that I compared it to, this one right here, this, I have a fly. I don't know if you guys just saw that go across my face. It keeps making me skip on my words because I keep seeing it. And people have said that Wayne sent it over, so thanks. I cannot get it to go away. Anywho, this is the Soft Cheek. This one is not as dense as the cheek. This one is a little bit more fluffy. It's going to apply product a little bit softer, and you can use it to buff in products. Even the bristles are a little bit longer, which aids in that flexibility. You can get a little bit more precise with this brush because of the shorter bristles as well as the density. The Cheek Pro is definitely similar, but it's not white. And I think, let me feel, I mean, they feel pretty similar. I think this one might be just a little bit denser, or it could be in my head, I'm not sure, but they are pretty similar and they will give you a very similar effect on the skin. And then lastly, the Designer Pro. This one has a little bit more of a taper to it, so the edges of it are shorter and the top is longer. If I put this side by side, you can see that this one just has a little bit more length to it. That's the biggest difference with this brush, again, other than the fact that this one is white. I would say that this one is a little bit more flexible as well. Moving on to highlight, I use the detail brush for this, and I am applying the Wayne Goss Coral Rose. I know it's out of stock, but I love the highlight so much because I can get it really intense, or I can get it super just like lit from within, which is what I went for today, except for the tip of my nose. But this brush right here in the picture, I am comparing it to, of course, the mini cheek, because that is the one that I think is most similar, and then the classic face from the Kiyaki set. Now the only reason why I put the classic face in there was because I wanted you to see the difference in sizes. This one is more of like a blush brush. You can use it for bronzer. You can use it for all over the face with powders and whatnot. But this brush really reminds me of the mini cheek. I immediately thought of this brush whenever I saw the detail. This one is kind of like a mini 168 from MAC, or what is it from Refer? See, this is the number 4. Do you see how big this one is though? So it has that shape. It has that angled shape to it, but it's smaller, hence the name Detail. And I love that because this brush right here is one of my favorites in my entire collection. I've been using this one recently to set underneath my eyes. You already know I love this one for applying highlight, especially now that I'm going a little softer with it. And this, having that little angle, it really helps to get a little bit more precise with the application. This is one of my favorites out of this new collection. I absolutely adore it. Next up, the worker brush. I use this to apply the little sparkly shade from my Pat McGrath Divine Rose 2 palette. You guys know I'm panning that. So I always use it whenever I can. And I just took this and stamped it right across the lid. And of course, this worked beautifully. This is one that has already been made. I actually do not have the original one of this. It was more like this here. This is the Worker 2. It had the thicker handle, and I'm really glad that she switched over to this. I don't really mind the thicker handle on face brushes, but on eye brushes, it's not my favorite on eye brushes. I will still use them, but I do prefer this shape. I love this silhouette and the way it feels in your hand whenever you're using it. Feels much more comfortable. In the picture, I'm not going to have the original, but just know that this is an original brush just with a different handle. For comparisons, I have the Worker Pro, the Worker 2, and the Worker 3. The smallest of the bunch is the Worker Pro. You can get a little bit more precise if you have smaller eyes. And then the next one in terms of size would be the Worker 3. It's kind of in between the Worker and the Worker 2. And I love these for patting on anything on the lid, but you can also blend whatever you're putting on the lid into the crease because it has that little taperedness and it has just a little bit of flexibility to it as well. You can see the flexibility as I kind of move around the tip of the brush. And the Worker 2 is, I don't know, it's very similar, but I think this one's a little bit more dense. It's not as flexible as this one here, at least not to me. Like sitting here going back and forth to make sure. These are similar. They're going to give you similar application, but if I had to pick again, I would go with this one, mainly because of the handle. I skipped one because I'm silly. I forgot to use this one on camera, so I'm going to do something really quickly. I'm going to use my Wayne Goss Coral Rose, and I'm going to apply more highlight to my brow arch because why not? This is the Builder brush, and it really is reminiscent of the original. I love this. Good old brow bone highlight. It's very reminiscent of the original MAC 239, which they got rid of. Now it is synthetic, and the bristles just are not the same, not just because they're synthetic, but the size and everything and the way it applies is just different. It's still good. It's just not as good as the original one. I'm going to quickly show you those because I didn't put them in the picture. This is the original 239. This is the Builder, and I would say they're about the same in terms of thickness, but the taper on the Sonia one is so much better. It tapers to the perfect natural taper. So it's going to fit onto your eyelid perfectly, easily, and it's also, that taper really helps to go up against the brow bone. Like this one, I can do that too, but because this one has that tapered edge, I can get a little bit more precise with it. And that's the same thing with the Refer number 2. This one basically replaced the 239 for me. Like, I'm so glad that they did that. But this one, again, that taper just makes it a little bit different. Again, this is a permanent one in the collection, but was redesigned for this collection. In the picture for comparisons, I have it against the Soft Shader, the Builder 2, and the Builder 3. To me, it's most similar to the Builder 3. This one's just a little bit smaller in terms of width. And then these two right here, this is the Builder 2. It is definitely larger and thicker. And then from the Sky series, I have the Soft Shader. This again has a little bit more of that taper, kind of like I was talking about with the cheek brush, the Designer Pro. This one has a little bit more of a taper on the edge, and it's a little bit more flexible than what this one, like this one has some flexibility to it, but it's more of a packing brush. This one will pack and blend, but again, this is one that's in the permanent collection. I just don't have it, but I'm glad to have it now with this handle. This brush, I don't have anything. I tried looking through everything to see if I could find anything that was this long, had this flexibility, and this size. I don't. So I have all different brands here to show you, and I also compared it to the mini booster from Sonia G, but this is something just like this brush right here that I do not own in my collection, and well, honestly, this one here too. The 3 new brushes in this collection I don't already have, not in other brands or anything else, and I love this brush. I used it to apply that peachy shade from the Divine Rose 2 to my top lash line and right underneath the lower lash line. I love the length on this, the flexibility. It's just, I need 10 of these. I love this. I don't, like I said, don't have anything like it, but here's my comparison picture. We have the Royal & Lane Nickel BOM 48, the Sonia G Mini Booster, the EO5 PS from Bristles Beauty, the brush number 10 from the Yano series by Beautylish, the new Wayne Goss number 6, and then the Refer number 3. As you can see, none of these are the same. All of them are either shorter and more like a pencil brush, or they are, this one right here, the booster, is a little bit more fluffy. See, this is definitely bigger than this one here. And then I thought for sure, like maybe my my Royal Lane Nickel, but it's not the same. It's a little bit shorter, definitely more of a pencil brush. This is something truly unique to my collection anyway, and I love that you can put this on the top lash line, lower lash line. If you have hooded eyes, small eyes, get a little bit more of that detail work in there. And that little thing I like to do right here in some of my eyeshadow looks, I will be able to do with this brush because it has the perfect flexibility and density and size. I adore it. Anywho, that is it for the brushes. I am in love. I'm so grateful to have these in my collection. I would say my 3 favorites are the ones that are the newest to the lineup. And then the ferrule and the handle, it's beautiful. You really have to see this in person. I'm really happy with this. The only sad thing is that it's limited edition. I wish it wasn't. And I wish I could get some of these brushes as singles. I would definitely want more of those 3. The 3 new ones, like I need another base, maybe like 5 more of the soft definer and like at least 2 more of the detail. Because those are brushes that I get a lot of use out of, but I mean the whole collection I'll definitely be using. Anywho, let me know what you guys think. Are you picking these up? Are you excited about them? Let me know down below. And again, huge thank you to Beautylish and Sonia and Lily and all of you as well. I love you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.